Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just click the link in the show description to support now.
Strictly for the culture. Brothers and sisters, you have seen the t-shirts, the hats, the hoodies, the mugs in the hands of some of your favorite pro wrestling stars, podcasters, and influencers out there. And now it's time. Visit strictlyfortheculture.ca and you too can be part of the movement. Bigger than sweatshirts and commercial success, Strictly for the Culture aims to build with like-minded people and elevate their position in the world through knowledge, self-love, and a desire to unite. So what are you waiting on? Visit strictlyfortheculture.ca. Do it for the love. Do it for the knowledge. Most importantly, folks, do it strictly for the culture.
You're locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke Loves Rasslin.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
This is Mateo Mayorga with the 5 Reasons Sports Network, and you're listening to Duke Loves Rasslin.
Brothers and sisters, it is that time. You know that I am very passionate about providing updates on what's going on in the basketball world. And the best part about that is I'm a fan just like all of you out there. I do not have all the answers. Absolutely not. But I have some fantastic friends who cover basketball for a living, who literally know what the hell they're talking about. And that's why it's always cool when we do these special episodes, because they can catch us up. And certainly a guy who legitimately, he is my, other than Peter Vesey, we always got to tip our hat to the Hall of Famer. We always got to tip our hat to our brother Peter. Other than Peter Vesey, this guy right here, legitimately, he is my go-to guy on all things basketball and someone that I respect and admire tremendously. So without further ado, welcome back to the Duke Loves Rasslin podcast. Mateo Mayorga, how you doing there, Mateo?
It's great to be back here with you, man. It's been a long time coming again, and we got a lot to discuss with the WNBA. I'm very excited.
I'm very excited as well. Before we get to the WNBA, because I know that that's going to be a lightning rod. In the NBA, the big story is Bronny James. What's your take on this? The Los Angeles Lakers, they somehow, some way decided, you know what, we are going to draft LeBron James' son. Despite the fact that since his health scare, his numbers haven't been the best. Mateo, what is your take on this? Does it make sense to you? What are you hearing out there?
Well, congratulations to young Bronny James for now having an NBA paycheck on the books. When he was picked 55th overall the second night of the draft, the emotions were pouring out of him, and it was very clear this was a big deal to him and his family. But the reality of the situation is that he was picked because of his father's influence after 20 seasons in the NBA, which should be something for an achievement for his legacy, I should say, rather, because nobody is that good after so many years and could command so much influence. And they picked his son and took a gamble on him. He was not good enough to be a draft pick because he wasn't a difference maker enough on offense at school or on the defensive side of the court, averaging fewer than 5 points a game. But listen, it is nepotism, but it really should be a feel-good story. This is not the only nepotism case in the NBA. It's going to be the most popular one because, there are 2 high-profile players. One of them is arguably one of the greatest players to have ever lived, his father, LeBron James. But it'll definitely be very special, Duke, if one of them or both of them can get on the court together in a blowout game and they can hook up for a lob, or one of them can be the recipient of a drive and kick triple. But
Mateo, I think the thing that makes me scratch my head is, like you said, this is nepotism, and everybody knows that's what it is. Are we at a point right now where is somebody missing out because Bronny James got put in the NBA when his stats clearly show that he should not be an NBA drafted player at this point?
I don't believe somebody is missing out. You got to consider where the spot he was picked, 55th overall out of 60. That's the very end of the second round. It's very hard to even hit on a player outside of the lottery. Once you get to the second round and even that far down, you're taking serious gambles. Like we mentioned a moment ago, he wasn't good enough based on his college resume to warrant being a first or second round pick because he wasn't a difference maker on offense. He averaged fewer than 5 points per game. But this is not a huge deal. Yeah, it's nepotism, but it's nothing different or nothing, it's nothing surprising in the NBA. For example, the team that him and his father now work for, the Los Angeles Lakers, the woman in charge who runs everything is Jeannie Buss. She was left in charge by her father, Jerry Buss. I know she did a lot of work before she ultimately started working with the Lakers, obviously running things with the Los Angeles Strings, the tennis team. That's how she got experience. But at the end of the day, she was put in a very lucrative and great position by her father and her brother, Jim Buss, who, before she kicked him out with her lone executive power, he was put in a position to be an executive in the NBA by the late Dr. Jerry Buss. And as a result, Mitch Kupchak, who was at the time working under the great Jerry West, was serving as a mentor to Jim Buss, teaching him what to look for in scouting and how to be a good executive. Now, you look at the other side of the league in Miami, Mickey Arison owns the team. His son, Nick Arison, holds a vital role with the decision makers, Pat Riley, Andy Ellisberg, Adam Simon, and what goes on with the Heat organization behind the scenes. And yeah, his father put him there, but he still, plays a vital role. What we're seeing with Bronny is another case of nepotism, and it's going to be the most upfront one because of the status of him and his father being both players and, more, out in the open than, some executive that a lot of people can't even identify them, if they went to the grocery store. But this, it's nepotism, but it's mostly a feel-good story with some consequences. Getting to the feel-good stuff, I think it'll be really special for, a lot of people to see, LeBron James be the recipient of a lob from his son. It'll probably be in a blowout situation for a game because his son is not good enough at this stage to warrant being a rotation player on a team. Or it could also be really cool to see one of them be the recipient of a drive and kick triple. But a lot of people are going to be very happy to see it. I'm sure the networks are too, because a lot of people will be tuning in just to watch maybe something like that. But now let's get into the consequences of LeBron James Jr. being picked by the Lakers. It could be a little awkward traveling on tour with your father if you're a single young man and your father is married and you're after different things. What if you told the rest of the guys on the squad it's time to go out, but your father catches you lurking around the hotel before it's time to go? That could be a little awkward and something like a storyline the NBA has never seen with players. I'm sure that one would be harmless though. But the more consequential one would be, because he is LeBron James's son, Duke, if he ever gets time on the floor, rest assured the other players on the opposing teams are going to want to give him the business because he is Prince James, and they're going to want to bring him out to the perimeter on a pick and roll set to see if he can guard. Now, the other one that I'm a little concerned about for Bronny is, what if he hasn't, or what if he can't overcome mentally the reality that I'm here because of my father? The best thing that could happen to him going forward is not even thinking about why he's there, but just accepting or, convincing himself that I'm good enough to stay here regardless. This should be a feel-good story. Unfortunately, there will be occasions where, where the fans, lose control and, say things that are, inappropriate. But, that's something that every NBA player has to deal with. But, he's got a great mentor and his father, who's also now his teammate. And I'm sure he'll be very protected.
I'm going to tell you right now, I fully expect Bronny James to have some challenges in terms of physical play by other players in the league. They are going to make this kid understand, welcome to the NBA, young man. And it's going to be interesting to see how LeBron himself reacts to that. Because one thing about LeBron James, he's got a little Tom Brady in him, in the sense that he will whine to the media, and during those press conferences after the fact, he will whine and complain and bellyache over things. I'm going to tell you right now, LeBron, that boy, they're going to cut him upside the head. They're going to discipline that boy in a way that you never have before. And you better toughen up and you better get ready for it. You are going to see your son bleed, sweat, and pay the price of an NBA lifetime. And you cannot coddle him. He needs to go through that. Michael Jordan went through it. Larry Bird went through it. You went through it. I'm telling you right now, LeBron, let that boy get his butt kicked and make him dust himself off and get back up and get back into it, because only then will he actually belong. I'm sorry, and that's my words there. I don't want you to pass that on to Mateo. Don't punish him because of what I just said there, even though it's 100% the truth. That's right. Mateo, what are your thoughts about the Boston Celtics winning the championship? And listen, this is my hometown team, but I'm a Miami Heat fan. You know that. I was very frustrated that the Celtics won, but I do tip my hat. They're a hell of a defensive team. What's your take on that?
Congratulations to the Boston Celtics for winning the title. Duke, by every definition, this should be an all-time team. They won 64 games in the regular season. Their point differential was over 11.5 points a game. They mowed down everybody in the playoffs. 3 series went to 5 games. The Eastern Conference Finals against the Indiana Pacers was decided in a sweep. These guys just got it done. And be specific, Jason Tatum, he didn't have the best shooting finals from the field, but he was excellent as a playmaker, just dissecting double teams. Jaylen Brown was also terrific as a rim attacker and a backline help defender. He was somebody in one possession, I think it was in game 2, where he blocked back-to-back baskets at the rim. He was sensational. Kristaps Porzingis was a mismatch because of his size at 7'3". Anybody in front of him, well, nobody in front of him could stop the release point of his jumper and his shot blocking prowess on the other side before he got hurt. But he was a big addition to this Boston Celtics team, and so was Drew Holiday. The previous year, the Boston Celtics had lost a home Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Miami Heat after losing 3 games, winning 3, then coming up short. It was highly embarrassing, but the organization decided not to be frugal. They orchestrated a 3-team deal to get Kristaps Porzingis out of Washington and into Celtic Green, and they also got Drew Holiday out of Portland following the Dame trade. These were the moves that pretty much decided the season way back last summer, and it goes to show you that fortune favors the bold, and as soon as your opportunity is there, you have to take it, because a window in the NBA can be just for one season. It will be very difficult to keep this team together. Perhaps it'll stay the same for at least one more, but it'll still be very hard to keep together financially. But congratulations to them. They should be remembered as one of the all-time historic teams.
I agree 100%. And I know folks are going to be surprised to hear me say this, because I don't go out of my way to praise the Celtics, but I just thought this team was – I can't put my finger on it, and maybe you can help me out with this, Mateo. Is it that the NBA champion Celtics of 2024, are they that great, or was the league that weak this season?
They were great. Listen, but they did see an injured opponent at every turn. The Miami Heat were without Jimmy Butler. He hurt his knee in the play-in game against the Philadelphia 76ers. Assuredly that the Heat are able to take maybe one more game of flesh out of the Boston Celtics if he is healthy. I shouldn't say surely, probably likely so. In the next round, Donovan Mitchell didn't finish it for the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's a huge blow to their opponent. And, the Indiana Pacers also had their health problems as well. So, listen, it's not the responsibility of the Boston Celtics to make sure that the other team is healthy. This is if anybody is criticizing them for that, I would caution them to, change their ways, because a title is a title. They did what they were supposed to do, and it reminds me a bit of what the Golden State Warriors went through in 2015. Every squad they wiped out had an injured point guard of high quality. And, 9 years later, it's not really a talking point. What's discussed is the Warriors beat 4 teams in a row to claim their first title in 40 years. This is maybe something that's going to be, discussed now, but it'll be forgotten because I don't think it's a fair criticism to make against the Celtics' title run, that the league wasn't as strong. The half the battle, Duke, is attrition. Staying healthy is half the battle.
Fair enough.
And they
Fair
did.
enough. I think that's expert analysis there. Once again, we have our man Mateo here, who holds nothing back, gives it to us straight, but it always is a professional at the same time, which is what I appreciate. So now we just had the appetizers. Okay, we had some tapas. They were delicious. We washed it down with a nice beverage. But now it's time for the main course. And this is interesting. And I don't know if you know this, Mateo. This is probably going to be a surprise to you because I don't think we've ever discussed this before. But for the better part of the past 5 years, I just celebrated the 8th year anniversary of Duke Loves Rasslin. But for the past 5 years in particular, women have been the number one listeners of Duke Loves Rasslin. I have that the highest percentage out of the demographics are women. Which is interesting because this is primarily a combat sports show. But I've gotten the feedback that they enjoy the great conversation that happens and what have you. So I appreciate them. So, ladies, we are really about to bless you with something here because Mateo has been following the WNBA. He has made sure he has his facts straight. And certainly we need to talk about what the hell is going on. Because, Mateo, I've been watching the WNBA since game 1 of the original season. Okay? I was glued to the TV that day. I mean, they had Jackie Joyner-Kersee, the Olympian, track and field Olympian, was playing in the WNBA that first season. Do you understand what I'm saying to you, brother? This league has come a long way from when they couldn't barely get enough people to play in the league, so they had to pull athletes from other sports to come in and do it. Okay? Now we're in a situation where legitimately they're selling out arenas. They're getting some of the biggest TV ratings of basketball in a long time. Talk to me about this whole thing surrounding this rookie class that we have here in 2024, because legitimately they have brought a lot of sizzle to the WNBA as a league. And then the veterans, the greats who are still in the league, like Taurasi, like Aja, like Stewart, like some of these bigger names here, folks are seeing them, a lot of folks for the first time, and are just blown away by how competitive and how great this league is. Talk to me about it, Mateo.
Duke, this rookie class has been outstanding. One of my favorites is Camila Cardozo. She's 6'7" and dissects double teams and can score over either shoulder. Rakia Jackson is also an outstanding wing, and Cameron Brink was also putting in some major work defensively for the Los Angeles Sparks before she tore her ACL. Hopefully she comes back strong and soon. But the headliners for this rookie class are Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, and they have been so much better than advertised. They started pretty much a rivalry, and they also play on teams that are historical rivals of one another. For example, Chicago the Sky, that's where Angel Reese plays, and then there's the Indiana Fever where Caitlin Clark is at. Now, these two ladies met 5 times collegially, and one of the games, including one of the games at the national title championship in 2023, which Angel Reese's squad won. And, that's a huge deal in this rivalry. And, I'm sure it's attracted a lot of eyes because these are both polarizing players. And at the WNBA level, they've played each other 3 times. And these games have been so high level. They've featured a lot of physicality and a little bit more than, basketball. For highlighting the physicality first, Angel Reese is someone who, takes her defense so seriously. She tried to track Caitlin Clark on an inside drive through the left side, and missed the ball and ended up hitting Caitlin Clark on the back of the head. It was a flagrant foul called appropriately, but it was a situation where, Angel just lost control, but she has to get better in that regard. But it's just, a lot of people talked about it being dirty, and, I don't think it had anything to do with that. It was a clear play on the ball where, she hit the wrong target, but, the popularity of these two women has brought, a bunch of new fans, and, some of them, maybe aren't, just well aware of all the intricacies of, what happens on the court. And, some of them are, speak very boldly online, and it's, that's affected some of the other ladies in the league. But, sticking with, Angel and Caitlin, they are the future of the league. I'm not sure if either one of them will be the best player in the world, like an Aja Wilson, but when you see what they are now, speaking of Angel first, she is an emerging two-way force and already one of the better players in the league, considering what she does as an offensive rebounder, buying her teammates extra possessions, and pretty deadly as a close-range scorer. Defensively, she also is very impactful in the back line and in the zone. And then you look at Caitlin, who's a playmaker extraordinaire, who's, especially in the open court, she's like a V12 engine for a supercharged car. If her teammates were able to make more open shots, her stats would be better, especially in the assist column. These ladies are the future of the WNBA, and their impact is kind of tractor-like. And I think that's part of the reason why they attract so many people. And what I mean by tractor-like is they make up for the deficiencies of a lot of their teammates for long stretches of the game, especially Angel on defense and Caitlin as a playmaker. All of that is, super attractive, and it's going to keep, bringing people, or bringing eyes to the league. And, it's just really special, man.
First of all, let me just say, Cameron Brink, who I'm so heartbroken that she's injured right now, because my gosh, when I see her play ball, she is like the evolution of Lisa Leslie to me. So fantastic down below in the paint, very aggressive. Not only is she getting fouled, but she's fouling right back. In fact, I think at one point she was leading the league in fouls, which is, for a rookie, it's just hilarious that, like, everyone's worried about Caitlin Clark getting hit and all this other stuff. Cameron Brink is getting beat up out there, but she's beating people up even more right back in return. She's not just sitting there all, woe is me. She was giving it to them. I'm so heartbroken by the fact that she got injured, and it's such a serious injury, because, man, I love her game. So let me just make sure I give her props. Caitlin Clark, she can score. She can distribute the ball. You cannot take that away from her. She has those two tools there that are very important. My challenge with her is that she turns the ball over so much. She's a liability out there. Now, people can say, because she's on the worst team, a lot of that, or at least half of that blame, is on her teammates who are just not good enough to catch what she's distributing. And, I can accept part of that argument, but at the end of the day, figure it out. I'll just say that, figure it out. On the flip side, Angel Reese, who can score enough. It's not like she's out there trying to drop 30 points every game. She will score enough. She can rebound her you-know-what off. So not only is she getting second chance points for her team, but she's also preventing the other team from getting second chance points. She's an instant double-double. She steps on the court, she's getting a double-double. We already know that, right? Her defense is fantastic, like you said. There are some things she needs to work on when it comes to the defense, in terms of not catching early fouls. That puts her on the defensive in the sense of, do we keep her out there or not, what have you, that as the season goes on, especially we get to the playoffs, that's going to come into play. So be careful out there, Angel. But my money is on Angel Reese. I think when this is all said and done and we look back on this rookie class and we see who accomplished what, Angel Reese is going to be the one with the championships, and she's going to be the one who I think has had the greatest overall impact on the game, because she can do it all out there, man. If I were building a team around a single player in that rookie class, I'm picking Angel Reese before I'm picking Caitlin Clark. I guess I'll ask you that question in return there, Mateo. I mean, I know I'm being a little inflammatory here, a
Cool.
little bombastic here, but what's your take on that?
I never thought to consider it, but man, listen. That was a really spicy one. My goodness. Listen, okay. Right now, I'm going to stick with Clark, but I love Angel Reese's game. I'm a huge fan. And to your point, the points you were making about who will be the one who ends up with the most wins and, championships. Basketball is a game dictated by size, and she is the more imposing physical figure, and obviously, much bigger, taller, longer, and because she is so because of her size and wingspan, she has a much greater ability to impact her team defensively and put brakes on another team's offense. Duke, this last game where they played each other on June 18th, I believe, the third match of the regular season, it was one of the best games of this WNBA season as well. Angel Reese was just tearing apart Nalissa Smith, the pivot for the Indiana Fever, at will. And this was a game where it looked like the Fever were going to take it in Chicago late. They were up double digits in the fourth quarter, but then Nalissa Smith dared to taunt Angel Reese with that too small gesture after she scored on her 5 feet from the basket. Immediately, Angel Reese cranked it up like 5 levels on offense, scoring multiple times at the basket, and then she was blowing things up on defense to lead her team to a win. She ended up with 25 points on better than 60% shooting with 16 rebounds. Right now, her scoring average, I don't believe, reflects her full capability. She's someone who every game is like a basketball education 10x. She's getting like Caitlin Clark. She's getting better every week, and I don't think it's a great. Well, it was spicy to hear. Like as I marinate on your thought process, it's not crazy to think at all. Angel's already a dominating force on both sides of the ball, and right now you can only say that Caitlin Clark is impactful on one side, and to the point that you made about her being a liability, turning the ball over. That is a fact. She's one of the league leaders in turnovers per game, and she needs to do better at dissecting double teams. Angel, at her size, she has a better chance of passing over the double teams, and also because of her strength, she has a better chance of just maneuvering in between them. So I don't think it's crazy at all. I believe these two women's careers will be intertwined with one another until the very end. I hope they are both champions, but right now, one of them already is at the collegiate level over the other's head, so it's already started.
I mean, it's Magic and Bird, and similar but different. I'll just say, despite how great Larry Bird was, Magic Johnson had his number. And we can't. I know a lot of you young folks, Mateo. I don't even think you were born yet. But Larry Bird, he came up short more often than not against Magic. And I just look at Caitlin Clark and I see a talented player, talented shooter, somebody with a lot of potential, and her team will get better over the years as they get rid of the pieces that don't fit Caitlin and they assemble the right team around her. I think that we're going to have a contender there. But as long as Angel Reese is in that league, Caitlin Clark's going to have a tough time because Angel is a winner. Above all, she is a winner. And I'm looking at her against a Diana Taurasi. I'm looking at her against a Wilson. I'm looking at her against a Breanna Stewart. I'm looking at Angel Reese, and I'm saying, I already believe that you can lead your team against the best of the best in the WNBA because you're not that yet, kid. None of these rookies are that yet. They can't bang with Diana Taurasi. I don't give a damn what anybody says. Breanna Stewart would eat all of them up, and she does. But damn, Angel Reese, she ain't that far off, man. And I think she can be competitive against the best of the best. And in fact, she has been. So it's pretty exciting to see. I want to get your take on something because there was a big debate that was happening online, and it stirred up a lot of emotion. And I know I got to talk to my man Mateo about this because you're a guy who knows the facts, so you can help me understand this. People were saying and this is crazy for me to even repeat, people were saying Caitlin Clark is the next iteration of Maya Moore. And yeah, she grew up idolizing Maya Moore and her game and all that good stuff there. But come on, Mateo. Maya Moore is a champion at every single level of basketball she ever played at. Can we really say that Caitlin Clark is even in that class?
Professionally and off the court, I don't think so, Duke. Maya Moore was drafted in 2011. The Minnesota Lynx were champions that year in her rookie campaign. Maya Moore is arguably the greatest women's basketball player who ever lived. And what's crazy, or well, not crazy. What's so inspiring about her story is that she left the game at the peak of her powers to fight injustices. She helped get a man named Jonathan Irons out of prison, and then she later married him, and then they both work as prison chaplains and work on getting people who are wrongfully incarcerated out of jail. On top of what she is, socially, getting back to what she is, at the WNBA level. As a rookie, Maya Moore was better than Caitlin Clark is right now, and I say that with all due respect because Caitlin is a sharpshooter. She is a great playmaker, but I don't believe she could force separation off the dribble without a screen like the great Maya Moore, Duke. And you got to that's a it's too early to make those type of comparisons, and they kind of make me a little uncomfortable because Maya Moore retired as a four-time champion, and if she wanted to make a comeback, she is so good she could still be one of the elite players. And it has been a long time. It has been a long time, and of course, and not that it's even in her plans, but she was that level of athlete where she could be gone after 6 years and come back and still be super impactful. She was one of the greatest of all time because she was a three-level scorer, able to dissect any type of coverage. So it's a little early for me to hear Caitlin Clark is the next Maya Moore. Is she gonna bring a lot of attention like Maya Moore did? Yeah, I agree there, but Maya Moore was way more than a popular name. She was the best of them.
Thank you. Thank you, Mateo Mayorga. I knew that you would tell the truth here because some of these folks, they're prisoners of the moment, and I get it. It's easy to look at the bright, shiny ball and think that this is the best thing you ever saw ever, but don't ever fix your face and compare a kid who could not win a championship on the college level to literally the most dominant player in college basketball when she was playing in college. I mean, come on, guys. Maya Moore won 2 championships, and she was always competitive each year when she was in college. She won championships in high school. She won the championship rookie season in the WNBA. She played 8 seasons, 4 championships. Mateo just pointed it out. I mean, MVP in the league. You can't say that Caitlin Clark could even lace her shoes. Caitlin Clark is the first Caitlin Clark, but she damn sure is not the next Maya Moore. She instantly is disqualified because she has not won a championship. She's instantly disqualified because already this part of the season, she's not the best player in the league like Maya Moore was. Give me a break. Everybody out there talking that nonsense. You are building this young lady up far too big, and unfortunately, she cannot live up to that. And she shouldn't have to. I did not expect Larry Bird to be the next friggin' Wilt Chamberlain. I just wanted him to be the first Larry Bird. Let Caitlin Clark be the first Caitlin Clark. Don't sit there and try to put Maya Moore. She can't even be Diana Taurasi. You're not going to put Maya Moore on her. Come on, guys. Come on. Before we wrap this up, Mateo, I want to get your thoughts on this. There are a lot of people who clearly are not WNBA fans. They don't know the history. And it's great that we have casuals who are being brought over because they're excited about something new that's happening. You do want to grow the game, obviously. But do you feel that they're having a little bit too much influence over the discourse and it's creating more harm than good at this point?
the casual fan, it's tough to say, man. One of the most disturbing storylines I learned about at the beginning of the season was how all of the vitriolic comments about Aaliyah Boston made her deactivate her social media account. And this wasn't something that was, being reported in seasons past, like all these, new fans are great, but the faction of them that can be very hateful are not very welcome or whatever. But listen, a lot of new fans need to do better because history is important. It's very whack to act like Caitlin Clark is the only superstar in the game right now. She is not the best, or has she been the first? What's really disturbing about all of this too, Duke, is that I think the media, not maliciously, played a part in that because they, from years past, were not giving credit to women like Breonna Stewart, Aja Wilson, Arika Agumbawale, Diana Taurasi, the respect and coverage they deserved. And, their names should be as popular as someone like Caitlin Clark, who is a rookie now. And that's a mistake from people who are our contemporaries in the media business for, not having tracked the WNBA how they should have years past. Now you get to a point where you hear people saying, I'm only watching because of Caitlin Clark. And you feel bad for those people because they're so clueless as to how many great and special, talented basketball players are around the league, over in LA, over in New York, over in Las Vegas, Seattle. So the new fans, they've been very vocal, and a lot of that is social media. Maybe they should just start being ignored by the people who really know the game until they really bring something worth speaking to the table.
Well said. Well said. See, this is why I have Mateo on the show. The man knows what he's talking about. It is always refreshing to hear his point of view, his analysis. It's just awesome. It's awesome. And in fact, Mateo, for everybody listening out there, how can they keep up with you so that they ensure that they know what's going on, not only in the NBA, but also the WNBA as this new season continues to evolve?
I'll be doing NBA and WNBA write-ups, Duke, on 5reasonsports.com. You can also catch my other NBA stuff, tracking the Cleveland Cavaliers, over at the King James Gospel for Fansided, and also covering the San Antonio Spurs for SB Nation's Pounding the Rock. But right now, since the WNBA is approaching the middle of its season, look for me to be very active writing for WNBA stuff.
All right. Now, and listen, all you WNBA players, Mateo, he can run fast. So don't think that you're going to try to hem him up just because he's writing the truth and he's speaking the truth about what's going on out there. Okay. If your game is flat, Mateo is going to let us know. Don't think you're going to snatch him up. He can run very fast. Okay. I have it on good authority. I know it. His running coach is Peter Vesey. So Mateo understands not only can he run, he can dip and dodge, baby. He can dip and dodge. So I'm just putting that out there. That's right. Listen, Mateo, as always, brother, I appreciate you. I respect you. It is always refreshing to have you back here on Duke Loves Rasslin. In fact, I was getting bombarded by so many folks saying, when are you going to do another NBA special with Mateo? And I think that's a testament to how great of a job that you do. So on behalf of all of the listeners of Duke Loves Rasslin, I just want to thank you for joining us again.
Thank you so much. You're very kind. I can't wait to be back.
Till next time, be kind to yourselves and be kind to others. Take it away, Tony Schiavone.
Mr. Tony Schiavone, and we're desperately out of time on Duke Loves Rasslin.